Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 5 Plus on this Tuesday. All right, this morning we're taking a really in-depth look into this manhunt that's underway right now. This is for escaped prisoner Grant Hardin. You've probably seen his face. A lot of police officers on the ground.
Yeah, Hardin has been convicted of rape and murder. Police say that he should be considered extremely dangerous. Now, during this report, we'll take you live to North Central Arkansas, where the search is underway, and a look at Hardin's past. He was a police officer in the Northwest Arkansas area.
All right, but first let's take a look at the photographs. Look at these. These were shared by authorities. The photo on the left, of course, that is Hardin's latest prison mugshot right there. So a really good depiction of what he looks like right now. The photo on the right, this is from surveillance video that was taken during Hardin's escape.
Hardin escaped from the North Central unit in Calico Rock on Sunday afternoon. Arkansas State Police reported that Hardin escaped through the Sally Port at the prison and was wearing clothes designed to mimic law enforcement. But it's not official gear.
Yeah, those with the Department of Corrections say that all of their uniforms that they have there on site, those are accounted for. So now they're just trying to figure out how Hardin made that makeshift uniform. Now, they're also looking at surveillance footage, kind of diving deeper into it, because there's a lot of unanswered questions, right? Like, how did he do this? Did he plan it? Did he have help? That's just not answers that they have right now. So it's going to take a while to kind of dive into that.
Yeah, for sure. And since that escape, police, they've been on high alert. They're stopping cars, they're ground searching the area, and they've even put choppers up in the sky.
Yeah, this has happened there in Izard County and Calico Rock area. They're working with other states' law enforcement, obviously there to hopefully keep Hardin from getting too far. Let's go out live to Calico Rock, where Jacob Luthi is the only reporter from our area live on the scene. Jacob, what is the latest that's going on there this morning? Do police have any luck, any trace of Hardin?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Tiffany. What we do know is that search efforts continued all through the night last night. We know that through the rain, through the tough terrain, low visibility. I asked yesterday, was that going to stop at all in crews searching yesterday? And he said, no, it's going to go through the night. It's continuing through this morning. And yesterday afternoon, when we spoke with an Arkansas Department of Corrections official, he says that they believe that they had tips and they had reason to believe that he was still in this area. That is why you see this huge presence still here. But as more time goes on, that search area is going to have to expand. But as of right now, as all of that's going on in the more rural areas, as they're searching the rivers, as they're searching kind of along the terrain, this is also what's happening right here on Main Street in Calico Rock. I mean, there's ASP officers checking every single vehicle that comes through. We've seen commercial vehicles come through that had to get out of their car, open their trunks, open their trailers, using their flashlights to look into them. I mean, it is a very extensive search going on right here at Calico Rock. Now, I'm going to go ahead and also show you some footage from yesterday of how heavy this police presence has been. And that's because they, like I said, they believed that that they had reason to believe that Hardin was still in this area. And those efforts have included these checkpoints, and they've also included drones as well as K-9 units, local, state, and federal law enforcement all on the ground. Like I said, they're using every tool at their disposal to try to find Hardin, and that's really because of his violent history. Rand Champion with ADC tells me that crews are really trying to make sure that they find him as quickly as possible.
One of the challenging things about this area is it is so, it is so dense, it is so isolated. There's a lot of woods, there's a lot of places that are hard to get to, a lot of places that are hard to see, but yeah, you can rest assured that there are plenty of officials that are in these woods doing the search.
Now, Champion also tells me that they're going to be reviewing surveillance footage to try to piece together a timeline, even from the days leading up to him escaping, to try to figure out just how exactly he was able to escape from the prison. Tiffany, Joe?
Yeah, Jacob, so just real quick, do we know that have police found any traces of him, like any items, any clothing that he's left behind so far?
Well, in terms of what exactly they have found, they have not exactly said, but what they have told me was that, again, they have that reason to believe that he's still here. And I think that's because of, Champion was telling me yesterday that they have a lot of crews that are experts in trying to search for people. He also says that they're very familiar with the terrain here, and that's why they're saying that unless he, right after he escaped, jumped into someone's car, that was why yesterday that they believed he was still here, because of the people that have worked in this area for a long time understand how difficult it might be to try to travel this area without going on the roads. And as you can see, every road in and out of here has been blocked off, has been having these checkpoints, and that's why they believe that. But here's another thing that I think is really important, and I asked this question yesterday to the Arkansas Department of Corrections. I said, does him being a former police chief give you any worry that about his evasive maneuvers? And he says, and the person I was speaking to was saying, well, yeah, he knows how we communicate, he knows the way that we're able to search. That has to all be taken into consideration, like I said, because of his history in law enforcement.
And Jacob, when it comes to that search continuing this morning, are they still planning to go to door, still planning on stopping those cars? And how are they working with law enforcement in surrounding states?
Yeah, I mean, I've been told that they've been going door to door, one, just to let people know, just to put their minds at ease, like, hey, this is happening around your area. If you see something, make sure you let us know. I've been told that they've been going to various neighborhoods, and it's not just ASP, right? It's the U.S. Marshals, it's sheriffs, it's neighboring counties as well, trying to post on their social media pages, trying to do anything that they can to try to let people know that this person is still at large.
And Jacob, just real quick, last question. A huge police presence, as you've been reporting this morning. They must be pretty confident that he's somewhere still in that area. Have you asked them, you know, what they think? Like, what are the chances that he's still pretty close?
Well, yeah. And like I said, it's the fact that their point was, if he hadn't gotten into a vehicle almost immediately, right, had that not happened, then there's still a very high probability that he is still in this area. But that's, again, because of the terrain, the fact that the visibility has been low and it's been extremely rainy the last couple of days. This is the biggest break in the rain that we have seen since that we've been here yesterday morning. And they're hoping that helps with the canine sense. They're hoping that helps with getting the drones up, maybe a helicopter or two to try to help in that search. But that rain, they say, and also just the terrain here, is why they believe that he might still be in this area. But again, they're looking for any sign of him. Hopefully those canine dogs can once the rain goes, can help with that scent. But again, the river's right here. There's a lot of factors going on in this area that makes it hard to search, but also, if you're Hardin, makes it difficult to try to move.
Absolutely. Hey, great information. Thank you so much, Jacob, for staying on top of this. We sure appreciate your report this morning. All right, as police continue that search for Hardin, we started kind of looking into where he could go from the prison. Once his feet were on the ground, outside of the walls, where could he end up?
Yeah, you could see those police working hard too, just behind Jacob during that. Did you see them looking in
Absolutely.
people's cars? And so there's a lot of work to be done here. There's forests in the area around Calico Rock. There's lakes and rivers as well, as Jacob mentioned. So that rough terrain, it's giving police a little bit of a hard time to track through it all, especially, I'm sure, with the rain we've had the last few days.
Absolutely. Now, we asked the Department of Corrections about that search and where Hardin could have gone. Take a listen to what they said.
A lot of rivers, a lot of, foresty areas, a lot of farms. There's a lot of farms up in this area. And so just a lot of different types of shelters, a lot of different types of places that we're searching right now.
Well, law enforcement say that they are working with surrounding states to lock down borders and hoping to find any evidence that Hardin was in a specific area.
Now, police utilizing those drones, as Jacob mentioned, dogs, boots on the ground, all to bring the search to an end, hopefully here soon. Hardin could be anywhere near the surrounding lakes or even the prison. He could have hit the highways as well, as Jacob mentioned too.
Yeah, he wore a badge for years as well in Northwest Arkansas as a police officer in Eureka Springs, which Jacob mentioned they're having to think about the ways that they're doing things because he knows a lot of the ways that they search for people. He was also a constable in Benton County, also police chief in Gateway. So to learn more about what police know about Hardin's background, 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley is joining us live this morning in Benton County with more. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Tiffany and Joe. Well, like you mentioned, Grant Hardin's history to law enforcement here in Benton County, it ties back here in multiple ways. And those who knew him while in uniform we've spoken to them, and they've told us that he really should have never been a police officer. And 5 News spoke to former Eureka Springs Police Chief Earl Hyatt, who spent nearly 2 decades with the department. Hyatt says Hardin was already working at the department when he became chief. In late 1996, Hyatt said he was going to terminate Hardin for lying on a police report, but Hardin chose to resign. While Hyatt didn't hire Hardin, he says he should have never been a police officer and his past was full of red flags.
Grant had pulled some pretty wild things as a police officer. Notably, he had gone the wrong way on a narrow, windy one-way road and had a head-on collision with 2 elderly ladies. And then while I was at the sheriff's department, he had gone to Berryville and broken into his ex-girlfriend's apartment while he was on duty in his patrol car and vandalized it. He was very bad about excessive force and just poor judgment.
And Tiffany and Joe, in talking to Earl Hyatt and the other people, I mean, he didn't work under Earl Hyatt for that long before he resigned, but just talking to other officials in Benton County who knew him, they're shocked. I mean, no, they're not shocked now, but at the time, shocking that someone who did work in law enforcement in the area was also committing crimes like this in the area.
Yeah, it seems like, Morgan, a lot of people who I guess were in the same area during his career in law enforcement, they're all sort of saying the same thing. They sort of kind of picked up on a few things happening here and there as it was happening, right? They knew something was happening.
Right, yeah. Earl Hyatt told us that it was tragic what happened, but knowing Hardin, not surprising, unfortunately. And we also talked to the Benton County prosecutor, former prosecutor Nathan Smith, who told us that one of the most unsettling things about this is for both crimes, there was really no motive that they could think of, which just makes him more unpredictable and more dangerous.
Thank you so much for that, Morgan. We sure appreciate great reporting there. Let's dive a little bit deeper into his criminal history. Now, as Morgan mentioned, that first arrest in 2017, he was actually accused of killing 59-year-old James Appleton. Now, this is a man that he'd crossed paths with through the city government.
Yeah, investigators say that Hardin pulled up beside Appleton on a rural road near Garfield, shot him in the head, and then sped off.
Police later found physical evidence in Hardin's vehicle tying him to the crime, they say, but then 2 years later, while already serving time, Hardin confessed to another crime, a cold case rape from 1997. The victim, a Rogers school teacher, was preparing her classroom when Hardin, she says, attacked her at gunpoint, raping her in the bathroom and again in a classroom.
Now, at the time, investigators did not know who the suspect was, but saved DNA samples and issued a John Doe warrant. Now, when Hardin was convicted for Appleton's murder, his DNA was entered into the system and matched. Hardin pleaded guilty to 2 counts of rape in 2019 and received a 50-year sentence on top of his existing prison term.
Rand Champion with the Arkansas Department of Corrections says they're looking into how he was able to escape. All right, remember, Grant Hardin is considered possibly armed, and police say he needs to be considered extremely dangerous, according to the former Benton County prosecuting attorney Nathan Smith, who Morgan spoke with, who prosecuted him for the murder and rape, says neither of his 2 crimes had a clear motive.
Yeah, and they're saying that that's what's making him so unpredictable and dangerous in this situation.
Law enforcement has said, and I agree, that he's a very dangerous individual. He's a man now that is looking at spending the rest of his life in prison. And so the encouraging thing is I have a lot of faith in our state and local and federal law enforcement officials.
All right, here is a final look at the photographs shared by authorities. The photo on the left, again, Hardin's latest prison mugshot. The photo on the right from their surveillance footage taken during Hardin's escape.
He is described as 6 feet tall and weighs around 260 pounds. He was wearing clothes designed to mimic law enforcement, but it's not official gear. Again, he should be considered armed and dangerous.
Yeah, we're going to have the latest on Grant Hardin, and we'll post regular updates to our website at 5newsonline.com. That'll happen today. This is such a massive story for our area. So many law enforcement already on the ground. I mean, we even are keeping an eye on what's happening. This morning, we heard about a police presence in one of our communities here, and we're immediately asking, hey, is this him? Now, in this instance, it wasn't, but law enforcement across the state, they're absolutely on high alert.
Yeah, and I think too, with something like this, I feel like it's been quite some time that he's been missing. Usually I feel like they find people within hours or maybe even within a day, but now we're up to 2 days here. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out.
Absolutely. I spoke with the Arkansas Department of Corrections, asking them do you feel like this is a person who has nothing to lose, right? Because he's going to be in prison for life, so he's not going anywhere. And they're like, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Who knows what's going to happen here?
Yeah, and I think the big question is how did he get that uniform? I'm curious to hear about how he got that. Did he make it himself? Was he working with someone maybe on the inside that helped him to get that? Especially working in law enforcement, you wonder if he had connections that were willing to help him. And so this is going to be really interesting as we continue to get more answers and get more clues as they're looking for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as for the victims and their families, Nathan Smith there, the prosecuting attorney, says they remain at the heart of this case. Take a listen.
One of the things that the justice system is supposed to give them is closure, right? And when he has escaped from prison, my thought just goes to the reopening of all those wounds.
Smith, he says that local, state, and federal agencies all working tirelessly, and they say that they're going to find Hardin. Now, we also asked the Department of Corrections just about the minute he escaped, right? There's victims out there from the crimes that he's been charged with. They said that they noticed them immediately. They're the first ones that they reached out to, the families of him, families of the victim, to kind of let them know what was going on.
Well, you know, when you go through something traumatizing like that and then that person is behind bars, there's a sense of closure there, right? And I feel like this is opening those wounds, opening this case back up. And I'm sure that they're scared as well, wondering if he's going to come back for them again. And so definitely they're in our thoughts right now, and I'm sure that they're on high alert, as is everyone in the area. I mean, we heard earlier today from that woman who said the Memorial Day celebrations looked a little bit different in Calico Rock. They were quiet. There wasn't a lot going on because people were staying home because of this.
Absolutely. All right, so make sure you stay with us here at 5 News. We'll continue to follow this manhunt. We will bring you the latest today on 5 News and always at 5newsonline.com.